magic. Okay, so last season I did not do very many bee videos at all. It's hard work doing all the camera stuff, setup, and then getting set up to actually do the bee work. And then, it's twice the work. and, so I apologize for not having more videos last year. I'm going to try and be better about that this season. A few things to catch you up on if you haven't seen any of my recent posts about my bees. So last year, as you know, I had 2 hives. I still have 2 hives. And last year, amazing 2 harvests from both hives. I forget the amount off the top of my head, but I got, I think I got like 120 pounds of honey last year or something like that. I don't know, it was crazy. A lot of honey. So it was a very productive year last year as far as honey goes. It was wonderful, and they were busy, and I had a swarm just before honey season. I mean that I almost lost a bunch of my bees and my brand new queen, purebred queen. Luckily they settled here in the yard, and it was easy to get them back and get them back in a box and not lose out on that progress. But neither of my hives survived the winter. One of them died out in the fall, and the other one made it until midwinter somewhere. And so I had 2 hives with no bees in them, and again, if you've been following, you've seen that I installed 2 new colonies. I had to go out and buy 2 new colonies of bees and install them into my hives. They're doing wonderful. They are doing great. I've been treating them lately for varroa mites. That's another really important thing. Get that all done before honey season happens, and get rid of those varroa mites, because those varroa mites, absolutely impact the health of the colonies. And then, I want them to survive next winter. That's the #1 thing that kills them. And even though I treated last year, I guess maybe I could have treated more. Hard to say what happened, but I lost my bees from both colonies. They did not make it. And last year, I lost one of the 2 and was able to use that surviving colony to repopulate the second hive. So this year, no such luck. So anyways, that's one of the things that comes along with beekeeping, is a lot of loss. You lose a lot of bees, and it adds up to a lot of expense. It costs a lot of money to get more bees. So anyways, it's a hobby, it's not a business. So keep that in mind. Don't know what this year's looking like. We have no way of knowing, but honey season is upon us. Himalayan blackberries, the ones that you see all down the train tracks, and they kind of take over the whole countryside if you don't keep them at bay. They're kind of nuisancey, but that is the most dominant source of my honey here where I'm at. And they're kind of like clockwork. They are always, they come to bloom and start offering nectar to the bees in June, usually about the 2nd week of June. This year it's starting a little earlier, probably because we had that very long, wet first half of our spring, and now it's starting to feel like summer days. The weather's getting very sunny. The ones in my green belt back here don't get direct sunlight. They will blossom probably real close to the 15th. That tends to be what they do. But the ones that are out in the direct sunlight are already blossoming, which means my bees are already bringing in nectar. And that means it's time for me to put my honey supers on so we can have honey. And I posted a picture a little while ago and asked people if they knew what this was a picture of. And I'm going to explain it right now. Up to this point, the last 4 years, I've been using this, one of these in each hive. This is called a queen excluder. Try to show it up nice and close so you can see. It's just a screen door, basically, that all the worker bees can fit through to bring honey up into the honey super. But the drones can't get in there, and it wouldn't matter if they did. They don't do any harm. But more importantly, the queen cannot get through those. So the queen is trapped in the bottom half of the box in what we call the brood boxes, where she lays eggs and where all the new bees come from. But we don't need her up there where the honey is at. Otherwise, she would lay eggs potentially in the cells that we want honey to come out of. And we like nice, pristine, beautiful, clean honey. We don't need squished babies and stuff in that honey. We like it to be beautiful. And so Queen Excluder guarantees that the honey's gonna be nice and free of baby bees. Some places you get raw unfiltered honey and it's got stuff in it that you don't want, and bee parts. I like my honey to not have that, and I don't want to have to screen it and filter it after the fact. My setup allows me to get beautiful clean honey out of the hive without filtering. That's how I can sell it as an unfiltered raw honey product, and it comes out looking kind of light colored, almost looks like a really fresh motor oil, is how it's been compared by a lot of people, referred to as looking like, you know, time for an oil change, and a big jar of honey just looks like a jar of oil. It's beautiful, clean stuff. Under a microscope, you'd find that it does have pollen, it's got propolis and a little bit of beeswax in it, and because it's not filtered. And because it's not filtered, it is prone to crystallizing maybe faster than some honeys that have been filtered. So if you bought a jar of my honey in the past and you kept it someplace cool, and you still have it at this time of the year, there's a good chance it's starting to crystallize. And that doesn't ruin it. Perfectly good. Sometimes a little less friendly to get it out of the jar like that. You can put it in a water bath up to about 100 degrees, and it'll take several hours, but you can warm that honey and melt it back into runny honey, and it is still raw honey unless you go past 110 degrees. So there's your solution for if you've got raw honey that's crystallizing and you would like it to still be raw honey. Just don't go past 110 degrees while you're trying to melt it in a warm water bath, and you'll be fine. If you have a sous vide cooking machine, it's a wonderful way to have a nice controlled water bath environment to thaw or to decrystallize your honey. So you can consider that. Back to this thing, I did not show this in the picture that I just posted, but this bee excluder, you see it's covered with beeswax. Every year I go to work scraping at them and picking at them and trying to get it cleaned up and nice for the next season. And it's kind of a hard thing to clean up. That's why I haven't done it yet. Today's the day that I would be doing that, because I'm going to be putting the honey supers on the hive so I can actually start getting my honey made. But I finally purchased upgrades for both those hives. This is what I posted a picture of, is two of these. It's a Queen Excluder, same as this, same thing, but this one's a metal grate, kind of looks like a barbecue grate or an oven grate. And this one is framed in wood. They make them where it's just all metal. They make them with it framed in wood. I wanted to try the wood ones. I think it'll be nicer for me to be able to take in and out of the hive and work on. And this, because it's metal, I'll be able to scrape all of the beeswax and stuff off of it at the end of the season or before the next season much more easily. One pro of this though is that, you know, they all get glued in there, and this is all this beeswax. It's usually attached to the tops of the frames in the hive box that's just below it. So when it comes time to remove it, it's kind of glued down all the way across, and I can grab the corner of it and kind of peel it off like a band-aid or a piece of tape, and it's only detaching just where, you know, where the roll line is at, and it comes off easier. These are going to get glued down all the way across, and there's no flexibility in them. So when it comes time to remove these in a couple of months, it's going to be a little bit of a different story. I might have a little bit of a fight on my hand getting them out of there. So pros and cons to either thing, but I suspect I'm going to get better results out of this than this as far as being able to clean it up. That matters to me more than having a little bit of a struggle removing it from the hive. You only remove it from the hive once a season, no big deal. So anyway, that's what it is. That's a Queen Excluder. So let's see, what else can I tell you before I go get suited up and start actually working on my hives. Drinking lots of water, something that I've never been very good about, but you know, past my prime, and doctors tell me things like drink lots of water, and if you don't, you pay the price. I've been paying the price, so I'm drinking lots of water now. What else? Oh, I know. I bet you some of you are looking at this hat, and some of you maybe think you don't like it because I'm not going to elaborate, but some people just get angry about red hats. And some of you probably think it's wonderful, but I'm going to show you something that you maybe didn't notice. If we can read that. Make beekeeping great again. I had this hat made because I thought it'd be kind of funny make beekeeping great again. Can you imagine anything better than making beekeeping great again? I think keeping chickens is another good thing. Any animals and anything that improves your quality of life and improves your enjoyment in life. And in the case of bees, of course, they're helping all of us by pollinating our plants, our fruit trees and stuff. So, and then providing us honey. Honey is a windfall. That's the reward that you get for keeping bees, is the honey. You don't get bees for the honey. You get bees, and if you're lucky, you also get the honey. So, anyways, enough of this. I'm gonna sign off of this part of the video and go get my bee suit on and get my gear out and set up the cameras out in my apiary, and yeah, we'll go ahead and install some honey supers. You've seen me do it before. It's just a matter of taking the roof off of the boxes, and I'll probably only just film one of the two. There's no point in seeing you guys don't need to see me do the whole thing twice. I'll probably just get one nice angle of one of the hives, and yeah, just add the box on top. First the queen excluder will go on there, and then the honey box goes on. It's called a honey super. And the only difference between a honey super and the boxes below it is that there's a queen excluder in between. It's called a honey super because it's exclusively for honey. Other than that, just typically not any real difference. With mine, there is actually a difference because I have those flow hives. So my honeycomb is up in the top half, has a mechanical element that lets me turn those handles to get the honey to come out on tap. And that's where mine do differ. But in most beekeeping situations, the upper boxes where the honey's at and the lower boxes where the brood are at, there's no difference whatsoever, except that you've got the queen excluder in there so that the queen can't get up into the honey boxes and lay eggs. That's basically the only difference. And they call it a honey super. And that's it. So without further ado, let's go to the bee yard. Joe, a couple of our resident crows here. Joe and Mo, mating pair. That's not what they call each other, that's just what we call them. If they spoke English, I might have a better idea what their name was. Oh, they are busy today. Holy cow. I'm not going to be using any smoke, so when I pop this lid off, I'm going to try and get in and out of there as quickly as I can. Most of the flying bees, or the foragers, they're out foraging. So we do this stuff in the middle of the day between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So most of the bees that are likely to be upset about me being in the hive aren't even home right now, but while I'm in here, a lot of them will show up. They'll let me know that they're not too happy about me popping the lid. I have all my stuff ready to go because I'm not going to get stung. I'm suited, but I still like to keep them as far from being upset as I can.
All right, here comes the action. Oh my, that's good to see. They are very busy and they have a lot of honey up here. I make sure that the queen is not on this lid, because I don't want her ending up in the upper box. If she's not up here, I don't have to worry about shaking these bees off. I'll just let them sit down there on the ground for a few minutes. And now, very little cleanup. In fact, no cleanup. I think this should just set right in here without any issues. Sometimes you gotta scrape some wax out of the way so it sets flush. Nope, it's beautiful. It sits right on there without any problems. I've already cleaned up the bottoms of these so that they don't have any pieces of wax, comb sticking out that cause it to not sit down nice and straight. Looks like we are good. They'll be finding their way up into this top box here momentarily. Now, let's see if we can't make sure I got a good angle here. See these beads here. We don't want to squish anybody, so I'm just going to shake them on the finger. Naturally, some of them are going to go airborne. Some of them are just going to crawl down in there, trying to get to safety. Get these branches out of the way. Some of these branches, if you don't put them back, the ants will use them as a path, climb onto the hive. So what we do here, don't squish anybody, we set it on here at an angle and gently slide it around to make sure that everybody is out of the bite. We don't want anybody getting pinched. And we're looking good. That went on really easy. So now they are closed up. Their upset with me will vanish pretty quickly. The ones inside there have already forgotten. It's just the ones that are airborne that are aware that something's going on. I'd like to point out that as far as the bees are concerned, I'm a bear who's here to steal their honey and wreck their hive. Bears are not even remotely gentle about what they do to the hives when they get a hold of them. Let's see. Make sure everything's nice and straight. Before I strap it down tight. Pretty good here. In fact, the whole reason I have straps on here is so that the raccoons can't topple these things. They'll climb on them, screw things up real bad. Need some good junk out of this lid. These lids fill up with earwigs. And I didn't know until I was a beekeeper what purpose the earwigs serve. They always just seemed like something that was kind of creepy when I was a kid. I didn't like them. They were always, somehow always managed to be inside the tent. And we went camping. But let's see if we can't lower this down. Maybe catch some of the first bees going into the box. Oh, there's already one there. Let's see if we can't get a nice close up there. It's tricky with gloves on. Can't really do any zooming because nothing that requires touching the screen works. I'm using smartphones for all my shots. There we are. It's not too bad. Let's leave that there for a moment while I talk about anything I can think of. I got second hive to do, same the job too. Like I said, I'm not going to bother filming that unless something crazy happens in the middle, and then I'll fire up another phone, try and get footage of it. But it should go exactly like this one did, except it's been my experience that the other hive a little more excitable. They're a little more likely to get upset with me. Not sure why that is, but some people say that aggressive bees make more honey. Well, let's hope that that's true. they're not so aggressive that we have to worry about them in the yard. But you see, there's already bees crawling around. Now that, what you're seeing in the window is an outside frame, and they usually go up into the middle first. So if they're crawling around on outside frames, that means that they're already pretty rapidly finding their way up. That's a brand new queen excluder, and sometimes they're slow to find their way through a new queen excluder for whatever reason. The old ones smelled like beehive. They've been 3 seasons of honey and wax on them, and they smell like beehive. These new ones don't smell like beehive yet, so, but the top box does, and so hopefully that will help to draw them in and get them up in there and busy working. And they got some cleanup work to do inside there first. Last year I left these hives sitting out for 3-4 days in the sunshine and let all the bees and yellow jackets and anything else come along and steal out of them to get them nice and clean. You let the insects clean them up so that they're beautiful and ready, but when they do that, they leave, it's almost like sawdust. There's wax shavings all over inside there. It looks like somebody took a candle across the cheese grater. These bees will start gathering up all those little pieces of chunks of wax and cleaning them out, getting them out of there. They'll repurpose some of them. They'll haul some out and ditch them on the ground, and they'll get it all pristine and pretty. And then they'll start pretty soon. Sometime over the next 2 weeks, they'll start bringing nectar in there and filling it up. And we'll have honey. We'll have honey in July. Last year we had honey at the beginning of July. I didn't think we would till the end of July based on the previous year. So we'll see what happens. But man, there's a lot of airborne bees around me here. I'm standing in their path, and some of them are concerned about my presence here. I'm not worried. Like I said, I'm suited up. They're not crawling on me. They're not even landing on me, but they're definitely buzzing around me. They're inspecting me. They want to make sure I'm not here to hurt anything. Most of them are arriving from out in the field. They don't even know I had their hive opened up. They have no idea that the lid was just off of it. And it's kind of weird. They go inside there, and now all of a sudden there's a third floor in their house. It doesn't dawn on them that something changed. It just never occurs to them. They don't think like people. They're just running on instinct. And so, yeah, anyway, we got to see a couple of bees crawl in there, and oh, what the heck, I'll go ahead and open up the front door too and see what can be seen in there, if anything. Probably too soon. Oh yeah, no point in even talking about it. Can't see anything in there yet. Alright, that's it. Thank you for watching. I'm going to pack up my camera gear and get it out of my way so I can do the other hive. Alright, both boxes are done. Bees are already calming down for me having, taken the roofs off and gone in there. I had to do some scraping on this one over here. It's that queen excluder wouldn't sit down straight. There was too much chunky wax up in there. I had to scrape it off. But, let's get a look at this landing board. This is where the guard bees hang out, so there's a chance that some of them will come at me, trying to warn me. What's amazing is if they get alarmed enough, they'll put out a pheromone that kind of smells like bananas. It's called alarm pheromone, and all of a sudden the entire hive goes into defense mode, and next thing you know, I'll be covered in bees and walking very quickly away from here. It's very nerve-wracking, even when you're suited up. When they're humming like that and they're trying to get you, because they think they're the bad guy, it's nerve-wracking. No amount of protection makes you feel safe at that point. Here's the other one. Little less activity on this hive. It's always a little slower to get going in the day. Don't know why that is. Could be just the colony itself. It could be that the sun doesn't hit this one quite as soon. A lot of their activity is based on the outside temperature, and once they know it's warm out, they get going. But they're both in the shade now. We have a new shed in the way, and they don't get direct sunlight. So for whatever reason though, that one there just gets up and ready a little bit quicker than this one does. But there you have it. Thanks for watching.
My name's Poe. People call me Poe.